Mike Crook. Mike, LifeWave technology. And I guess at one point I'll have to go with my testimony because Vanessa sees every day something else that the technology is able to enhance in my biohacking, saying, hey,
does she think you look prettier?
If you look at me on camera today versus 5 years ago, I look younger today.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more gray, but that's because I'm not shaving the beard. But bottom line is you feel younger, healthier, more energetic, and more excited. And that's just because of the technology. But talk about your testimony, Mike.
Yeah. So in July of 2024, I ran into a guy in a meeting that was wearing a patch on the back of his neck. And I asked him what it was. And I'm always looking for technology, for nutrition, for things that are natural. They're going to help people stay healthier, younger. I'm looking to biohack our body, as we often say. And so I said, what's that? And he said, it's a LifeWave patch. And I said, tell me about it. So he told me a little bit about it. He really wasn't that knowledgeable, but he told me that it had filled in his bald spot on the back of his head. Now, I can tell you this, since I have had the patch on, I have to shave my head now here because I have all these fuzz hairs coming up on the hair.
And I have to shave it quickly again. Yeah.
I didn't have before. So my hair is growing back. I don't know that I want it to grow back because I don't want to fool with it. But I'm shaving it occasionally because of that. So people ask me, why is your hair fully back grown if it grows back here? Well, because it is growing. You just can't see it fully yet. Now, if it did all grow back, yeah, I'd be okay with that. But right now, it's like I don't want to fool with that. But anyways, back to the story. So I'm with him, and I'm asking questions. He doesn't know much. And so I said, can you send me some information on it? He never got back with me. So I'm online trying to figure this out. I'm Googling this patch and trying to figure out what it is and all that stuff. And I figure out that it's this X39 patch from LifeWave. And I find out it's a stem cell activator. And I see that it can also cause you to grow back hair. And that's why he was talking about it growing back his hair. And again, the patch doesn't do anything except cause the body to form a GHKCU, a copper peptide. That copper peptide in the human body is what does everything. It is the body that does all of the improvement. Excuse me, I got hiccups. But the LifeWave patch is just a phototherapy patch. It causes a light frequency to reflect back to the body, and that's what instigates it. The nearest comparison I can have is when you're out in the sun hits your hand, it's going to start forming the vitamin D. Same thing. So anyways, back to my story. So I found out about it from a guy out in Texas, found him on YouTube, and then ended up saying, I'll try what's there. Let me order some. And I ordered my first set of patches, got them in about 5 days and put the first one on. And that first night, I slept like a teenager. I literally hadn't slept an 8-hour time period in decades. And I slept for 8 hours. I slept for 8 hours the next day and 8 hours the next day. I'm still sleeping for 8 hours. But that's good for the body because the body remodels itself while you're asleep. And so getting good, deep, restorative sleep is great. I woke up with more energy. I don't drink coffee anymore. This is not coffee in here. This is the cellular guys. That's one of their products there that gives me all the nutrients that I need to help make the copper peptides in my body and keep me hydrated throughout the day. I drink a gallon of water like everybody should do to keep their body hydrated. But anyways, I'm getting those results. And so I call up the guy and I say, dude, this is really working in this area for me. He said, that's just the beginning. And I can't promise everybody that they're going to get the same feeling. I've had quite a few, I would say close to 85% of my customers and brand partners who've come on us who've got similar results in that first week or so, where they get energy, they're sleeping better, those kind of things come on board with them as well. But my energy level has stayed great ever since then. Again, got rid of coffee. I used to have to drink coffee. It was like I called people, it was my ADD.
I got rid of my coffee too. And I really believe it has to do with this. I quit coffee. It was the hardest thing in the world to get rid of caffeine. No more caffeine in my diet. And it was the greatest thing I did.
Yeah. And coffee is a great product. It does a lot of great things in the human body. But for me, I had acid reflux with it, and I had to take omeprazole with that. I quit taking omeprazole and quit having the acid reflux just because of the coffee. But I didn't need it because my energy level's there throughout the day. It never ceases to stay with me. Now, when I get ready to go to sleep, at night, I'm not lingering anymore where I've got to hang around. I got to get sleepy enough to go to sleep. Literally 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, man, I'm ready to hit the pillow and go to bed. And my wife will tell you that as soon as I lay down in the bed, she might be watching something on TV or reading a book or something like that. And she'll look over at me 5 minutes later, I'm out, I'm gone. So my going to sleep process is there as well. So those are the immediate things for me. About 3 weeks in, my discomfort that I was having in my right hip down through my leg was decreasing. And by the time about 4 weeks had happened, I literally went from a level of about 10 pain in that leg, that discomfort that was there in that leg, down to about a 2. And that's my measurements. I'm not giving some medical measurements for pain. I'm just saying that my discomfort was there. If I was saying that the worst discomfort was 10, or even 100, down to a 20. I'm giving a measurement for me. That's how my discomfort went away. It disappeared. Now, I know that I'd had an x-ray of my hip, and I know that my hip had these bone spurs on it that was really horrible, and that's what was causing the discomfort there. My left hip looked great. It looked like a teenager's hip, but my right hip messed up, really messed up. And so I'm going through this process. I'm getting a pain reduction that. And I had been recommended back in January of that year that I probably needed to get a hip replacement. I'm 62 now. I was 60. I turned 62 already by the time they told me I had a hip replacement need. Not 60, 61 at that time. Anyway, so I went ahead and went through with that hip replacement in October of that year. And I told my doctor what I was going to do, that I was going to put on the patches back to keep recovering from it. I was going to use these other patches called the LifeWave to get rid of that discomfort that comes after surgery, and the Eon to reduce inflammation. And he said, yeah, whatever you want to do, man, I'm all fine with that. He said, I just know that you're going to have about an 8 to 14 week recovery period of time, and you need to take it easy during that time, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, great. So at 2 weeks, I'm calling up my doc and I'm saying, hey, I'm able to drive my car now. I'm walking without any assistance. And am I crazy? And he says, come let me see you. So he looks at me and says, I've never seen healing like this on scar tissue in 2 weeks ever like this. And your ability to walk, you're doing everything. And the only thing you're doing different is these patches with this LifeWave company. And I go, oh, yeah. And so he says, this is amazing. So I'm telling you, I've had other friends who've had similar results with other different types of recoveries from surgeries because their stem cells are causing the healing. Their inflammation has gone down because of the peptide created by the Eon patch. And the LifeWave just interferes with where there is that message being sent about pain. And you can recover a lot quicker with that combination of things there. So I got better with that. Now, fast forward 6, 7, 8 months down the road, I go to my eye doctor and I say, I love my glasses here. These ones that change color when you go out in the sun, transitions, I think they call them. And I said, but my prescription, my eyes must have been getting worse. So I need to really check into this. And she said, let me put you in here and check in. And she goes through all this process with me and checks my retina and all this stuff. They have this new machine, so it'll look way deep into your eye. Right. And it looks way deep into mine and takes this picture that looks like almost like a volcano. I don't know how it looks, but anyways, takes this picture. And then she puts me on that little deal where they flip the numbers in front of you and check you out. And she says, you've gotten better. You've not gotten worse. And I said, you're kidding me. And she says, no, you're better. And I said, well, the only thing that could be doing that is my stem cells that I've been activating. She says, what's that? So I tell her about that, and I'm talking to her about it. 2 months later, I'm calling her up again. I go, I bet I got another prescription problem. My eyes have gotten better again. And she says, why? I said, I'm experiencing the same thing where when I look at my distant level or my mid-level, I can't see as well as I did when I first got the prescription. And she says, come in and see me again. And she said, crap, I'm going to take your prescription out of the upper and lower because you still need readers. I don't see you're getting so better so quickly. Let's just take it out. So now on these glasses right here, I see perfectly well when I take them looking at a screen. I need them for when I look down to read something because that gets a little fuzzy. But my eyesight has gotten restored. Amazing. Again, only attributable to these patches that I'm wearing and the results that they're doing in the human body because the body is doing its own healing. It's reversing aging. I know that copper peptides in the body will reverse or reset is probably the better term, 4,300 genes in the body. Those 4,300 genes have to do with eyesight and other things else. I know that it's going to boost my collagen. I know that collagen has amazing things to do with the eyesight in the human body. So in fact, there was a doctor who just did a recent deal. We ought to have her on to talk about that. But this is something that we're seeing universally across the board with everybody who are on the patches, is the same kind of quicker healing with injuries. Like even from a workout, you're getting quicker recovery because you're injuring your muscles, you're injuring your tissues when you work out, and you should get a quicker recovery from that. People are getting better eyesight. They're getting a reduction in discomforts in their body, all sorts of things that are related to that going away. So it's just this way.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I think it's more than just using the X39. And I'm going to talk about my testimony next week because we'll double up podcast again, because creating as much content is fun. It's fun, especially with 2 hours of programming. And now the Mike Crook Show will be on Radiate. So we got to just crank out content. So people just DM us now. Website soon will be up. More opportunities to come. We will talk soon. And thank you again, Mike. That was a special simulcast Neil Haley Show on the Mike Crook Show, guys. Take care.